correspondent Dana Bash. Jim, so President Trump wants a big military send-off, which is, perhaps not surprising. I mean, is it just to take the sting out of being impeached a second time?
Anderson, I think it's just another dear leader moment for the president before he leaves office as this sorry, shameful chapter in American history comes to a miserable end next Wednesday. We are told by officials who are familiar with the planning of all of this that the president wants a ceremony, a grand departure ceremony that is similar to the kind of ceremonies you see when there's a departing head of state, complete with a 21-gun salute, a red carpet, a military band, and a color guard. And people at home might be wondering, Anderson, well, how can the president get something like this? Until noon on Wednesday, the 20th, Inauguration Day, he's still the commander-in-chief, and so he can order all of this, tell his staffers to set all of this up, and American tax dollars will pay for it.
So is this to happen before the inauguration? Does he want it to have it be in the middle of the inauguration as kind of counter-programming?
It is supposed to happen the morning of the 20th before Joe Biden takes the oath of office. And Anderson, it is a sad commentary on the Trump presidency. I was here on January 20th, 4 years ago, when the Obamas met the Trumps, greeted the Trumps in the North Portico, this North Portico entrance behind me, as Donald Trump was preparing to take the oath of office. And the Obamas showed that kind of grace and class, even though Trump had questioned the legitimacy of Barack Obama when he was president of the United States. President Trump is not going to afford the same courtesy to the Bidens. He is going to continue with this fantasy and this fraud that the election was stolen from him, and he is going to leave the city in that kind of fashion in an event that is essentially a fraud.
Yeah, I mean, these are small people that, they pretend this president pretends he's a big man, a strong man. He's too scared and, he's not strong enough to go to the actual inauguration. I mean, Dana, I get him wanting to try to take away from President-elect Biden's inauguration. He's petty like that. It makes sense, but it sure feels tone-deaf. I mean, he wants this big military send-off. He's already got one because there's more than 21,000 National Guard troops in D.C. right now. The city is on lockdown because of him, and people are dying of COVID at record numbers, and the vaccine rollout is nowhere near where it needs to be. And this is what this guy is spending his final days planning and dreaming about?
Yes, this is Donald Trump. It is the way he has been, and he has become a caricature of himself, which is kind of hard to imagine given what we have seen over the past 4 years. But Anderson, you took the words out of my mouth, and we see the images right now. The president wants to have an image and some kind of theatrics that people will remember. This is what they're going to remember. They're going to remember people like Jim and me and everybody else who works in this city having to go through checkpoint after checkpoint, like you would, Anderson, when you are going to war zones across the globe. But this is in the United States of America, and for one reason, and one reason only, and that is because voters in a free and fair democracy defeated Donald Trump, and he can't admit it. And he is still clinging to this lie because he was told since he was younger that you cannot be a loser. And so he is coming up with and hanging his hat. This is according to somebody who knows him well. This isn't even just me saying this. Hanging his hat on any crazy conspiracy theory that he can find in order to not admit the reality that he was defeated. Those are the images. That is the circumstance without the pomp that Donald Trump is going to have and will always be remembered as he leaves office.
Jim, I understand Kayleigh McEnany has now flown the coop. She's gone, I guess, off to Florida and is not coming back. Who is visiting the White House these days? I understand there was somebody who visited today.
Yeah. The Star Wars bar of characters continues to file in, Anderson. We saw Mike Lindell, the founder of MyPillow, which is a pillow manufacturer. I'm sure you've heard of it. Perhaps you've talked about Mike Lindell on your show. He has been espousing the same silly conspiracy theories about the election that the president has. He met with the president for about 5 minutes. I confirmed this with Mike Lindell on the phone earlier this evening. He said that he brought some documents in for the president to see, claiming to be evidence of election fraud in the 2020 election. And he says that President Trump took that material and gave it to some of his staffers. The other thing we should point out is that Mike Lindell said that, you know, at no point in any of these documents do the words martial law appear. Anderson, if you look at a close-up of these documents right now, the words martial law do appear. It's one of the strange, you know, fringe, you know, type of things that are said in these documents. And Anderson, it is just another example of how the president, despite everything that happened on January 6th, the fact that people died because of these lies spewed by the president, he is still welcoming people to the White House who are reinforcing these crazy ideas about the election. And I hate to say it, Mike Lindell is one of those people. And when I was talking to him on the phone earlier this evening, he just wasn't making a lot of sense, just like everything else that's happening with Donald Trump these days.
Jim Acosta, Dan Bash, thanks very much. More on the breaking news.